Hello and welcome to PredatorBitesUK. My name is Barry Cullis and I thought I'd take you through a couple of my dead baits that I like to use. Now, I'd also like to talk about a couple of the rigs I use as well. You did see in a previous video that I actually made a standard snap trackle double treble pike trace, 18-inch pike trace. There are different variables to that, but I've just got a couple of other traces that I'm going to talk you through that I like to fish either live baits or dead baits on as well. So first of all, that's what I'm going to talk about, and then we'll move on to the baits afterwards. So what you saw first of all last time, you actually saw me make pike trace. This is the one. It's got a 2-hook rig. There we go. 2 size 6 trebles. You can use any size trebles you want. There's a 30-pound trace wire, and then obviously swivel attached to the other end. Now I love these traces. These are what I like to use laying on the bottom. And the reason why I like laying on the bottom because they're sleeved off. Now, in the other video, you obviously heard me speak about a different type of rig I use as well, a different type of snap rig. And this is it. This is what I call my quick catch, my quick one, the one that can just grab into the jaw as soon as possible on a pike, on a wary pike. It's this one here. I don't know if you can see in the lighting on that. You can see the hooks are very free moving compared to the ones that are sleeved over. Now what I've done with this one, it's got a slightly larger gape. Now some people have questioned on my pike fishing video, the first one I did Keston, as to why I was using such large baits with small hooks and that. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when I show you the baits that I've got. But that's the quick one. I love this. I like it because it catches the jaws really quickly. And truth be told, probably wasn't thinking too much about catching the pike early season. Missed quite a lot of runs. I had 10 runs and only banked 1 pike. To me that's pretty dismal, and that's really bad angling on my part, as why I couldn't work out why that was. I think I didn't wind down quick enough, and I wasn't using the right trace to dead bait size arrangement, that kind of thing. But yeah, the gape's slightly larger. As you can see, you can catch hold really quickly with these. Now, the reason why I've got that second treble attached like that is it's crimped, and it's got another piece of wire backing on itself. I'll probably show you how to make one of these in a future video. What I also used up in Keston as an alternative rig, you might have heard me speak about using a mackerel fillet or a smaller bait. I would use something like these partridge doubles. These are fantastic. You can use single hooks as well. These are a lot easier to get out of the pike's mouth. But saying that, also it can tear through certain baits quite easily as well. But this one again, standard. This one is at 22 inches. I like it a little bit longer when I'm using a single hook, because I might change over to a live bait. And the last thing I want is a pike coming up and taking the main line at the same time if I'm not using upper trace. I do use upper traces as well. So yeah, there we go. They're using black sleeves. You don't necessarily need to use black sleeves. You can use them with red sleeves or no sleeves at all. If I was having trouble hooking up on pike again, a bit like I showed you before, I'd probably take the sleeve off and then just fish so it's really, you know, like I showed you with these two. You know, that one is fixed pretty much. The trebles are fixed on the line, they don't move. Whereas the quick trace, that's what I call it, the quick trace, because it can instantly snap into a pike's mouth where that can be pulled free. And that's exactly the changes you can use. It's just small things like that that might actually bag you a few more pike on the bank. Don't ask me why I didn't do that last time. I just, early season, I don't know what you want to call it, stupidness that I didn't. I did go piking yesterday and perching. Didn't really have much, got a bit fed up and come home early, so I'm probably going to go this Sunday if the weather holds off. It's actually just started really raining hard outside where I live now. But if the weather holds off, then I'll probably go Sunday. But I've got a new job that I'm going to be starting soon, so my fishing's probably going to be tapering down over the Christmas period and probably then start picking up again afterwards. And I definitely want to go and see my best mate Dan down in Hastings, because I haven't seen him in such a long time and we need to have a session together. So anyway, what I'm going to do is just talk you through a few dead baits I like to use. Before I do, it's always worth thinking about keeping your traces on certain winders and stuff, and I like to keep my traces on these winders. They do come with covers over the top as well, But these winders are fantastic. Many different companies make them. There we go. You've got a Fox one. They just bought a new, the change in the range, they just bought a new coloured top out. Makes no difference, but they're the ones, it's a very lightweight trace holder, this one. And that's the one I like to take when I go piking with me, if I've not got much tackle with me. So yeah, that just goes into a plastic tube. Then you got this one. This one's got all my backup traces, and traces for when I fish certain waters where I wouldn't use them anywhere else. It's also got a top opening, and you can put all your broken traces that are knacked up by pike's teeth and you want to keep the components, rather than mess around with them on the bank, just stick them inside. You know, rather than them getting tangled up in your tackle box and maybe into your fingers or in the sides of your bag. And you just put the lid on and you can forget about it with peace of mind. This one is made by Prowler. So this is made by Gray's Prowler, but you can pick them up by Savage Gear. And I think there's a few other companies that make them as well. But yeah, fantastic. Really do recommend them. Now if I'm going ultralight, and I know that I'm only going to be fishing one rod, I'm roving around, I don't want to take a lot of gear, maybe I don't even want to take a bag, just maybe the bait tub, then I'll use something like that. Just a little round plastic container. You can get jars like these, you can pick them up on eBay. I think it costs about 20p, something like that. I just roll them around my fingers and inside they go. I've got numerous, I bought loads of these for like £5, and you know, I use them for various different things, from keeping drill bullets in to beads and that kind of thing. They're really handy to have, especially for the pike angler, the predator angler. Right, so talking about dead baits, some of the dead baits I like to use and why I use them. Best thing you want to get yourself is, this is what I keep my dead baits in. I also use freezer blocks as well, which are in the freezer freezing. Keeps them nice and fresh, keeps them a long time, and sometimes you can even take some of the baits home if they're kept fresh and they're kept frozen. When my baits freeze out, I'll only refreeze them once again and then I won't use them. So what I try and do is anticipate how much I need to take with me on a session, and then put the freezer blocks in there, and then that way they stay fresh, they stay frozen, and I can reuse them a couple of times. When you're pike fishing on certain waters, well, any waters really, you want to be as fresh as possible. I buy my dead baits now from one place and one place only, unless I'm really desperate. I do go to various tackle shops to buy my baits previously, but onlinebaitsuk.com, absolutely fantastic. Been dealing with these for about a year now. I've had some nice pike on them last season. I'll go nowhere else if I can but this company to buy my baits. They also do things for sea anglers, sea baits and stuff, and they also do like oils and stuff like that, which I want to give a go. I've not tried it yet. I'm not a big oil injecting person for their dead baits, but I'm definitely going to give it a go one day. So yeah, I can't recommend this company enough. Get on them. So first things first, let's look at some of the baits I like to use. First thing is the Humble mackerel. They come in many different sizes, shapes. This is mini mackerel. You can also get mackerel with, you can get horse mackerel. There's many different sizes and shapes and stuff, like I say. Very oily bait, best all round bait. It's got fantastic markings on it. Some people actually believe that the markings are for, they look like a jack pike. And also some of the length of some of the big boys. You know, I've got some some really large ones I bought from a fishmonger down in Catford, and they represent a jack pike in terms of the markings and stuff. Now I don't know if a pike actually in clear water maybe thinks, yeah, that could be a jack pike. I think they're just hungry and they're looking for a free meal. Fantastic bait, really good bait. Been using it for years, and it's what I caught my first pike on. Really oily. You can inject it. You can hook these really well. The skin's quite thick, so you can really like hook them. So you don't really need to really bury the trebles in and hope it stays on. But fantastic baits. You know, some people just use tail sections. I don't know why. I've got tail sections. I use head sections as well. You know, it's just as much blood and guts in the head section and the tail section. Like I say, I don't think pike actually think, oh, there's a tail, there's a head. They're just thinking, there's a meal, I ain't going to worry about feeding for the next few hours. So, there we go. That's the mackerel. One of the all-time classics and one of the all-time favourites. Now, if I'm wobbling, or I'm using a very light float technique, maybe single trebles, so having just a single treble as opposed to having 2 trebles, or even a single hook or a partridge double. I like to use sprats. Sprats are fantastic, but they are soft bodied, a bit like a sardine. I don't have sardines with me today. I think they're a fantastic bait, but sardines for me are too much messing around. You have to keep sardines on the hook. I use sea elastic and bind them on there because they're really only one cast. You know, with a sardine, once it's out and you put it back, they're so soft the hooks just come straight out. So you want an instant hit hook rig. Fantastic, and they're just one of the all-time greats. Same with herring. I don't have herring with me today. Very shiny, very oily, good-bodied fish, but I really use herring, and a lot of people don't use herring nowadays, but yeah, it's a really, really good bait. But sprats, fantastic. There's just so much you can do with these. I've actually had perch attack these before by accident. I don't think they think for a moment they'd actually eat it if they had a chance to sniff it over, but dragging it through a margins wobbled, they've actually come up and attacked it, probably thinking it's a small roach, but yeah, fantastic bait. My first choice for small bait for wobbling, that kind of thing, or float fishing in and just letting it go down the current, you know, on a live bait slider, something like that set up. Next, one of my all-time classics. They come in various different colours. A lot of companies nowadays are they're colouring them up. It's the smelt. Fantastic bait. Many a big pike have actually come to these for me. You can get these in turbo sizes. They're a little bit more pricier nowadays than what they used to be because they're a little bit more harder to come by. These are actually quite small. The smell that comes off these I can tolerate. I don't like feeling smelly baits and cutting them up. You know, I don't eat mackerel because of the reason I don't like the smell of it, because I'm continuously cutting it up and using it as bait for pike. So I actually find it really hard to eat. My mum eats it all the time, but these smelts, these red smelts, fantastic. You know, if the standard colours are not working, try something different, mix it up a little bit. But the smells that come off these, some people say they smell like cucumber, and they do. Yeah, they do resemble a bit of a cucumber smell. A fantastic bait, really, really good quality. These baits that are coming from the company I get. So that's the humble smelt, and also the hook staying quite well on a smelt. Quite soft, but also quite strong that they stay on. Roach, the humble standard roach, coarse fish. I never leave home without a packet of roach if I'm dead baiting. The reason being is because perch, zander and pike will like these. You'll pick catfish up on these. So on certain venues, the roach is going to be one of the best baits you can use. Okay, they don't have the smell that the factor of a sea bait does, but the thing with the roach is they're natural, they're silvery, they're quite hardy. If you let them thaw out for a little while, they'll actually get very they get slimy a little bit on the skin, but they stay on the hook extremely well. I probably had more pike, perch and zander over the years I've been fishing for the last 20 years on roach than anything else. Is that I've got such confidence in roach. I know pike anglers that don't use anything other than sea baits because obviously the smell and all that for dead baiting on the bottom, but it's funny, the one bait I don't have today, which is a coarse fish, that I actually caught my biggest pike on, not a huge pike but big to me, big enough for the moment so I can get a PB, is the humble perch. It's crazy, and it was a blast frozen packet perch. It wasn't a fresh one that I caught on the fishery. Perch are fantastic as well. I cut the spines off just so it wouldn't get damaged down the pike's throat. Yeah, and I had my biggest pike on them. But the humble roach, you know, you can get skimmer bream, you can get trout, those kind of things. You know, fantastic baits. Never leave home without them as a dead baiter. And I call myself a dead baiter because that's my favourite method of fishing with bait. I love live baiting, but you know, I like lure fishing as well, but bait fishing's where it's at for me. So, last one I've got on my agenda. This one was introduced to me by my best friend. He swore by these, and I'd never used them before. I'd never even heard of them before, till a couple of years ago when I got on them. And I would say, in the last 3 years or so, these are probably accounting for most of my fish in the last 3 years, other than the roach. And it's blueies. Absolutely fantastic. The oil leakage from these, naturally alone, is a bit like I would probably cross these between an eel section and a garfish or a lamprey. It's got loads of blood that comes out, loads of oil. You can inject them, they stay on the hook, they're quite thin. You can hit instantly with, you can do a lot with these. They are quite thin and quite long. You could probably, with the larger ones, you could fish them with cut 3 sections out. I'd probably just double those. I'd have the head and tail section on them. So you've got the larger ones, and then ones that I've never seen before until I come to this company. Online Baits UK is the mini version. I have never used the mini version. I do like to cut my baits to give them some extra smell come out. And something like you heard me speak about earlier on is I don't inject my baits. I've only ever done that once or twice in my life and I've got no confidence in it. I don't know, maybe it does make a difference. It's something I need to give a go, and maybe that's a future video, maybe a little mini series where I can start using different types of oils and different types of smells and stuff like that and give them a go, and then maybe report back to you, just maybe fish oils against naturals and see which works over what. Some people swear by it, but me, it's never really made too much difference to my fishing, but that's probably because I didn't really give it a fair go. But these are just a wonderful super bait and probably now become my firm favourite for pike fishing. Not cheap again, not like your sprat. I mean, a bag of sprats like that costs what, £1, £1.20. You get quite a few in now, okay. They don't stay on the hook as much, but they're worth it. So that's just a little selection of some of the baits I use, and I hope you can give some of these a go yourself. Some people only use 1 or 2 types of baits, but I think if you go to certain fisheries, it's worth having a selection, because what might not work on one day could work on another. Or if you just change, you could have roach on all day, have nothing, stick yourself a smelt on, and then you hit that fish right in the last knockings. Do you know what I mean? And then you've bagged yourself a boneless fish. So don't be afraid to try different things. Don't be afraid to go down to fishmongers and have a go down there as well. See what they have, because sometimes you could use something that you would never buy from a bait company or from a tackle shop. I've known people that use things like red snapper, Indian catfish, you name it. You know, pike can pretty much be caught on most things. I think so long as it's not salty, then you probably stand more of a chance if you're fishing for zander as well. But then saying that, there are some places in the country where zander do pick up sea baits. Berry eel, off the top of my head, is one of them. I've never caught on specific sea baits. The only one for zander I've had on sea baits is smelt, personally. I had 2 7-pound smelt up on the fens. I was quite surprised by it, but they obviously wanted it. I believe the smelt is an estuary fish. I could be wrong, but I believe it's an estuary fish. Now, like I say, that's my selection of baits that I like to use. I do use other ones, but these are 5 or 6 of my firm favourites. So hopefully I can put these to good use and get on the bank. Hopefully this Sunday, catch a few for the camera for you with some of these baits. But I really do recommend Online Baits UK. Fantastic company. They will get the bait to you as fast as they possibly can. Mine comes 7 days earlier. My last selection of baits comes 7 days earlier than what, you know, I was expecting them to come. So, you know, best thing to do as well is buy in bulk. You know, it comes a lot more cheaper because obviously postage and packaging. If you buy in bulk, get yourself a nice little selection in the freezer. If your missus or your mum lets you do it, get yourself a nice little selection, and then you're stocked up for a few months or even 6 months, depending on how long you go pike fishing or predator fishing. So I just want to say thanks for watching the video. Just talking over a few rigs, a few dead baits. Hopefully next time I see you, I'll be on the bank and I'll catch some fish. So tight lines.